Hello everybody and a very warm welcome back when we are live with Late Breakers Club. My name is Zabi and I'll be taking you all through on the commentary mic for round 4 here at the Bahrain Grand Prix of this inaugural championship. I was here for round 1 if I could remember correctly, and now we're back for round 4 and hopefully for the rest of the season throughout as we are about to get started. Some things happened. Alright, that's the game that has simply switched off. Okay, alright then, it's back as we're just getting out here in qualifying with 17 cars out on the track. That's going to be surely a big one right here. Just before we get started, let's have a look at the championship standings to see where everybody stands and where the drivers are looking into this. And it is at the top, at the very top of this season 6 it says, as we are in here at round 4, which is going to be a gritty one after 3 rounds that have been done. The 4th one is just going to get us through to the remaining season. So it's Elmo who's on 68 points within these 3 seasons. In these 3 races so far. Then it is in P2 Luco with 48 points to their name. It's Orimas with 42 with his Steven and 8. 37 and 36, just 1 point separating the two. It's JP in 6th place with 19 points, 16 points to Raikkonen in 7th, Watson with 12, 4 behind Raikkonen and 4 ahead of Carlos, who's got 8 points as well, along with Jamie, who's got 7, with Potts, who's got 6. Then it is Crafter and Christie, who've got 2. Well, everybody all the way from standard operator in P14 to Eva in P24 without a point at all. Meanwhile, we'll also look at the standings results from the previous race, but before that, let's have a look at the constructor standings. It is Ferrari who lead ahead of McLaren with 87 points to their name, 73 points to McLaren. Meanwhile, Red Bull and Mercedes could be in a good fight right here, 49 and 48 points, just 1 point separating the 2 teams right there. Well, 16 points to Alpine and 12 to Sauber that Watson scored. Meanwhile, Racing Bulls and Aston Martin have got 8 points each. It is Williams, they've got 2. Then it is Haas are yet to score so far this season. Now, let's not waste any further time and get on this one right here in qualifying at the Bahrain GP. Let's just make sure we're going okay and everything is fine, which I'll hope it is going to be fine. Do let me know if not, but we should be okay for a fantastic racing action and qualifying to see. Meanwhile, drivers are already on flying laps. Some of them are starting, some of them are ending. Meanwhile, it is standard operator who's yet to score points this season so far in P14. Meanwhile, McLaren of Jones is going to start their lap now. Well, Jamie on the laps right now, on a flying lap right here. What about Luco in that Red Bull is just making his way around down to the 2nd DRS zone right here. I actually see 3 DRS zones. I'm not sure if there are 3 DRS zones around here, obviously. Meanwhile, there is a RB, I believe, coming around the final corner. And in fact, no, it might have been another car as Sean nearly loses the car, just gets it back in control. Meanwhile, the Red Bull of Oni is going to try and start a flying lap. You know, the Ferraris of Elmo and Cardiff are on a flying lap each as well. Meanwhile, we're going to be looking at Cardiff right here in that Ferrari, coming around the final corner in 3rd gear, in 2nd, back on power, right, using all that DRS. Meanwhile, standard operator has set up the benchmark time for everybody, and that's going to be beaten by Cardiff by a long time. 28.799, 30.496. That speaks for itself. Meanwhile, Jamie now, it's going to be in that Mercedes over the line. Will he be able to go fastest? No, he can't. Still good enough for P2. 29.8 so far. How good will that be? Meanwhile, looking at the Red Bull of Luco, is going to go over the finish line. Might be the fastest time, and yes, it will be the fastest time. 28.1, and well done to the Red Bull driver. Meanwhile, Steven goes up to P2, 128.729 onto the front row. Meanwhile, Elbow goes fastest of the session, and he goes up top. P1 127.4. There's a bit of a shutter. I'm hoping that's not an issue on the stream. And unfortunately, basically, watching the PS screens or whatever it is, it's going to be opening up. But I'm hoping everything's okay. If not, do let me know in the comments if you see a slight bit of issues here and there, because sometimes things happen, and we can do, and we can always try and fix those, get back on things. Meanwhile, we're hopefully going to be okay, and I'd hope we'd be fine for the rest of it. Meanwhile, drivers are coming over the line one after the other, and it is going to be the Alpine of a standard operator into the pits. Meanwhile, Cardiff, who put it on to second fastest earlier, is not going to be anywhere near the top 2 position, currently in P6 so far. Meanwhile, Orimas in the Mercedes, 6/4 down on his previous time. Obviously, the second laps, and mostly used for prep, and possibly a lot of drivers come into the pits. Meanwhile, Clan in the Haas, who he missed out while looking at things around. It is Clan in the Haas, goes up to P3. That's definitely going to be a huge benefit to the struggling Haas team in the first 3 rounds. They have not scored a single point this season so far. They're going to definitely need him to do laps, and laps good enough for him to go up to the top and get a time to help himself get better. Meanwhile, Orimas in the Mercedes has managed to keep going. The same goes for Steven. He's going to continue as well. There's an Aston Martin behind these drivers, and that's Potts. He's going to continue as well. So these guys, sure, pretty early in the session, but still, they're not really holding back. They're not really, waiting for anything at all right now. Kind of going at it, and just pretty much doing what they can, and just on their way to show it all right here in the first few moments of qualifying, because sure, not all the time you're going to get the best of laps in the first minutes in qualifying, but pretty much you can get it, and when you do get it, that is a big one. Meanwhile, Black Sharks, who won... Oh, she didn't look at the results from Miami, and it was Black Sharks who won in Miami, and up to the timing charts, he's going to go P8. So he's going to need a little bit better than that, while we might have the Mercedes of Arimas coming around the final couple of corners, and he's far away. So just during that time, while we missed out from the results of Miami, let's have a look at the results of Miami, and look at that. Black Sharks started P5 in Miami, finished P1. It was Elmo, started P4, finished P2. Orimas qualified P3, finished P3, when Luco got pole, dropped down a couple of places right there. So these are your results. We possibly should have had to look at those at the start, but couldn't do that. Meanwhile, Orimas over the line, 8/10 down on their time, and that's not going to be enough. Meanwhile, Steven is going to improve, but still will stay P5, will stay where they were, while Potts in the Aston Martin does find a better time, but not close enough to the pretty much getting close to the timing up ahead, but not really going to be challenging. So Elma in the Ferrari, fastest of them all, 127.4. Meanwhile, it is all drivers in the 128. Meanwhile, Crazy is at the very bottom of the field so far in that special livery that was obviously avoided by the game for that Sauber team. Meanwhile, it is Vissel on the final walkout coming out of the final corner. He's got a nice Ole Behrman helmet over the line, 130.8. So now looking at times so far in qualifying, apart from our pole sitter, 27.4, far away from the rest of the pack. Nobody else in the 127s. Although Luco, Glenn, Oni, along with Steven, all in the low 128s. But it is 28.168 from Luco, 224 from Klein, 270 from Oni, then 3393 from Steven with the Cardiff, then 799. Couple of tenths behind these guys, so still remains, the fight is on, I think. Meanwhile, we're going to think, sure, not a lot is remaining, but I think definitely a lot is still remaining. It all depends whether somebody can attack the pole sitter. Can somebody really get closer to that pole position? But at the moment, it doesn't seem to really be that case. And although we're still into those final moments of qualifying, though, we're into still not the final of moments, but still more than just about 8.5 minutes remaining. So half of the qualifying session's gone, and pretty much half of it is remaining so far. So still, you know, anybody could catch it up, but it's all about will they be able to do it or not. Meanwhile, Cardiff in the Ferrari is on a flying lap, but they're far away from the finish line. You know, we're still going to watch them out to see how good can they do in that middle sector. 106.662, I think that was. Just about a few hundredths of a second quicker than their previous time. How good will this one be? They've just got the final corner to go. Meanwhile, then Williams has went over the line, but they might have just been over the line to start a flying lap. They'll be full power, foot to the floor, over to the finish line, looking for improvements. They do find an improvement, but that'll not be enough. Just for P6 so far, just go ahead, or they just go ahead of Orimas, who was who's 128.983, but I think they were already ahead of Orimas since Cardiff's time was 799.799, so that is still just time improvement, no position improvement, and that shows how close these battles are. Some drivers out of reach of the others, but all playing around, all working together. Meanwhile, we have the Aston Martin of A1. They could have been improving at least by a few tenths, but that'll not be enough as it stands. Meanwhile, both the Red Bulls are on a flying lap. It is the Red Bull of Luca who'd go over the line, improves by over 3 tenths into the 127s, but still 4 tenths behind a pole sitter. So still that job is remaining. Meanwhile, Elmo, who's currently on top of the timing charts and sits on pole position. Are they going to go further away and improve even better? And yes, they will. 127.83. A brilliant lap time from Elmo there. And they're going to get pole, and they have pole already. They're just going to move away and get further better from that. While via Borp, they're going to go P10, 29.558. Will Cardiff should be coming into the pits, and yes, they will indeed come into the pits. Meanwhile, Standard operator in the Alpine is going to be coming up as well. Their operation will come into an end, at least for now. Same goes for Jamie. Meanwhile, Orimas in the other Mercedes is going to be on their way and about to start a flying lap. Still about 6 minutes remain now. It all depends how much time does Elmo has, because does he have a lot of time? Does he have still 10th or 2, which could make it really difficult? Which could make it absolutely difficult for the drivers around. Otherwise, if he's, you know, this is all fast, he can go, but look at that. You know, he's went a little bit quicker, so his time, which was 127.4, is further out of reach of everybody. It's now 27.183, so if it is to get any better, he's going to have to do absolutely everything right behind Luco. Man on screen now. Meanwhile, Clen is going to go over the line and push Oni down. Oni's going to come into the pits, and Clen goes back up to P3. And a lap well done from the Haas driver. Definitely somewhat hope they would have given to the Haas team to get better, to get better from the previous couple of rounds and races they've had. Considering they've got no points, but it all depends where they finish in the race, obviously. You know, as they say, points are scored on a Sunday. Same goes for it, points are scored on a race rather than in qualifying. With just 5 minutes to go in the session, we are about to find out what we're going to be getting. And Orimas is finding an improvement by a rate 10s, at least in that middle sector. And if he just manages to do that, that'll be, if not more, should be enough for P5. Are they going to be anywhere near the top 5 or even better? We're about to find out. And over the finish line, 28-0. They push themselves up to the top 5. And well done indeed to the Mercedes driver. And they for sure go up to top 5. Now it's all other drivers. Is it going to be the McLaren of Steven, or is it going to be, yes, it will be the McLaren of Steven. They're going to find yet another improvement and go up to top 4. Meanwhile, their teammate Sharks are going to go over the line. They find nearly 3 10s, but that's not enough for a position change or a position switch. Sure, a bit of position, obviously, they're not going to get. They're going to get a bit of time, but that is all they will get. Now 4 minutes remaining. We should be seeing drivers come out within a couple of minutes, within a couple of moments now. We should be seeing drivers come out for their final runs, final laps in qualifying. It is interesting to see now 5 drivers, all in the top 5 in the 127s. Pretty much everybody in the low, high 127s, apart from Elmo, who's the other pose, all the way up to the other part of the time. We're in the low 127s, and if he is to find yet another improvement, he could get himself up into the 126s, and I think that then would mean is going to be really going to be unreachable, unless somebody does an exceptional job, or somebody, you know, let's say does a lap that's really good enough for them to improve. You know, Potts in the Aston Martin is not really on a flying lap, while Cardiff is also on a out lap right now, along with Elmo, and just exactly as we said, drivers would be now out for their final runs in qualifying. They're all out on it. Meanwhile, Stevens going to head into the pit, but it shouldn't be long before they're going to come in and get back out on. Also, do let me know how everything all is. We did have a stream last week. I mean, I did around the same time, which went okay. So I'll surely hope that, you know, this one goes in similar fashion as well, if not any better. So hopefully everything's going to be okay. But still, if there's a mic issue, if there's anything going on, you could always let me know in the comments or DM me on Discord if you guys are in one of the drivers who are looking for a improvement or anything that needs to get a little bit better than it currently is. Meanwhile, the Red Bull of Oni is in P5 so far, while a lot of drivers are now out on their flying laps. It's going to be quite difficult to get on who does what. It could be interesting though, because sometimes drivers, you know, see 1 minute and 30 seconds still remains. Sometimes driver would would really use this one as an out lap or a prep lap to really get themselves the best out of it at the very end of qualifying. But it isn't the case, at least in terms of as far as Elmo's concerned. And how much is he going to improve by? 600ths of a second. That's just enough to get himself at least closer to the end of the 127s. It's going to be about as a whole lap, and how good can he do on a full whole flying lap right there. Meanwhile, a lot of other drivers are on it and on their flying laps, while Sean is on a invalidated lap. He lets the Sauber get past, and that would be crazy. He's going to go over the line, currently slowest of them all. Do they find an improvement? Yes, they do! And what a lap from Crazy! That sure is a crazy lap, 127.9! And he came out of absolutely nowhere! Sure, that's his final lap, and you could say it's only P4, but you wouldn't expect them to go top or anywhere near the top, since they were the slowest car of them all. And an absolutely fantastic lap that is. Meanwhile, Luco is finding an improvement, but so is Oni, and right behind him has got Cardiff. No, it is Oni as he goes top. No, in fact, it is Elmo who improves further and goes fastest of them all once more and improves his advantage on pole position. And that pretty much should be sealing the deal for Elmo as he goes up and takes pole. Meanwhile, Cardiff is going to go over the line, but good enough for P8. Meanwhile, it is the two Red Bulls of Oni and Luco, which would benefit Red Bull in the Constructors in P2 and 3. Meanwhile, Clan in P4, but Crazy in the end surely found a crazy time to be in P5, and well done, a very well done to them. Meanwhile, one of the Red Bulls and Oni has not done the lap yet, as we were about to say that Oni might have gone over the line. Surely he hasn't. His teammates off the qualifying board, but Luco isn't, and goes up to P2, pushes his teammate down and up onto the front row. The Red Bulls are still going to be 2 and 3, but simply the order has been switched, and that is all in front of your screens, ladies and gentlemen. Glenn in the Haas has been looking to improve, and he can't quite do that. What about the Mercedes of Orimas? He's far away from the checkered flag just yet. Meanwhile, Jamie is down in P13. He's yet to get closer, while many drivers have now taken the checkered flag. Orimas has not, but he's not improving, at least in that middle sector. What does he do? How much can he find over the finish line? Can he, though? No, he can't. 300th of a second down on his time. Now every single driver has taken the checkered flag. Oni's going to come into the pit as well. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be an end to qualifying, which started as Elmo on pole, and it ended with Elmo on pole. And certainly the Ferrari driver looks strongest of them all so far. Well, I believe there's going to be a bit of a break before we go into the race, so we'll slightly take a little bit of a rest, and we'll be back at it as soon as there is drivers out on the track, and we are on it to get on. Meanwhile, we have 18 drivers. There is another one, I believe he started. Alright, so it is 25, and we will go at 30. So 5 minutes will be the break, but just before that, let's have a look at the qualifying results then. It is Elmo on pole with Luco in P2, followed by Oni in P3, following a Ripple 1-2-3 with Glenn in P4, followed by Crazy Stephen Orimas Cardiff, Black Shark Watson in the top 10. Outside are Potts, Brop, Borp, Jamie, E1, and a Standard in the top 15. The remaining three will be Sean, Whistle, and Frosty in the bottom three. That's going to be the end of it then, ladies and gentlemen. It was the qualifying in front of your screen, and looking at the results, you know who you could be looking at or counting yourself on. It's either going to be the Ferrari of Elmo, or any from the two Red Bulls, or the Glen or Crazy in the Sauber, and Haas could attack from the back as well. Well, it's just getting darker and darker, or is it? Because that is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a race during the daytime around Bahrain, and that'll be interesting to see if we are not going to be racing around here in dark, or at least, you know, under the lights. We surely are going to be racing here under the sun, which is could be interesting. I mean, lights are still on, so maybe we could be racing at the starting of the time just before the sunset. So by the time the sunset happens, it's already dark, and we get most of it under the lights and a little bit of it during the day. But that's it then, ladies and gentlemen. Just a couple of minutes before we get started, and we will be back in a few moments. All right, we've got update on the time as well, so it was actually a bit of a mistake, but eventually we're not going to move out as it was a poll. Driver said regardless, day or night, the track's going to be same, and definitely it's going to be a unique experience to experience the Bahrain Grand Prix during the daytime. It's been Bahrain has been a night race since many years, apart from the start of its beginning, I believe. I don't exactly remember. It was either 2003 or 2004. The Bahrain GP started. It used to be so hot for the drivers they couldn't do more than a couple of laps, and then I believe it was switched and sent to be at and it was to be raced at night time, which obviously slightly cooler, or even if it's not cooler, at least there's no sun killing them, or at least really knocking them out in that car, which could be really hard to process, especially in the sun. Obviously in the game it's a game, but in real life, which it makes it quite difficult for the drivers. And it's just a minute before we'll be out on the track, 5 lights out and racing in Bahrain. And drivers have been told good luck, and good luck to everybody. It's going to be 5 red lights and we go racing here at Bahrain. The lights are held for way too long. It's going to be a decent start for Elmo. It's going to be a decent start for Luco as well. Well, it looks like Oni has got a brilliant start off the line. So has Glenn in P4. Meanwhile, in the turn 1, it's going to be Elmo in the Ferrari. He leads, still ahead of everybody, and yet to be done things. Meanwhile, at the back of positions, well, everybody starts on the medium and the soft compound tyre. It is a mixed up of drivers starting. Meanwhile, the Red Bulls switch up positions with each other. Ronnie gets past Luco there. They're going to be wheel to wheel, almost make contact. Well, Glenn's going to get past in P4. Well, Crazy stays P5. Then it's the two McLarens of Stephen and Black Sharks in P6 and 7. While there's going to be a bit of a battle, Potts gets past the Mercedes of Orimas, and Orimas might be looking to struggle a little bit, while Clan in the Haas is going to be on the inside of turn 9 and 10 of that Sauber, and they're nearly going to make contact, and I believe the McLarens might have touched each other while they were trying to get away from the cars in front. They might have made contact. Well, Potts has got past a couple of cars, and he's going to get past another car on the inside line, or maybe not. McLaren's going to come back at him. The Aston Martin driver is certainly having to back out of it, despite being on the soft tyre, but definitely it's the McLaren of Sharks who's on the soft tyres as well. So for 29 laps of racing, which is going to be a potential 2-stop race, drivers have opted for a 2 and for a soft and a medium compound tyre to start. Those on the soft tyres look to be in decent positions so far, while at the top it is, anyways, it would have been a 2-stop strategy, so medium, soft, medium, hard, it seems to be the case. Well, Potts is going to switch up to the inside line now, try and get past, or at least stay ahead of the Mercedes, or is he though, because Orimas is going to come back at him on the inside line, nearly attacks him, but just has to back out, while it's now going to be Glenn will be back at it. But it's Crazy in that Sauber who's got past the Haas of Glenn and right behind Red Bull of Luco. This could be interesting. This could be fun. While Cardiff is going to fall down. Not sure what exactly has happened, but the Ferrari of Cardiff finds themselves down in P15. A huge loss for the Ferrari driver. Well, it is Sean in P16, followed by Vissel and Frosty in P17 and 18 right there. And now it's going to be Glenn in P4. Meanwhile, brilliant it could be. While it's all about, say the least. Meanwhile, Glenn is in P5 so far. Looking at these guys, the top two with a gap of 1.1 seconds to each other. So we might need to go to the back of the field, or at least in the midfield, to watch out for some battles, to watch out for all the battles that we are looking for. Meanwhile, Crazy is in P4 so far. Could have the DRS. If he doesn't matter if he does or not. He would be even all sorts of pressure from the Haas. He does, but the Haas driver is going to be ever closer to the Sauber, and he's going to move to the inside line as quick as possible, back to the racing line, and position is his, and overtakes the Sauber, gets the position done. Meanwhile, Orimas in the Mercedes will get past Potts as well. So the soft tyre, at least not working well for the drivers. Sure, the McLaren of Black Sharks has moved away, but everybody else on that soft tyre is far away. You know, it's only a couple of drivers on the soft tyres, though. You know, it's the bottom two of Vissel and Frosty on the soft tyre. Well, with E10 on the soft as well. That's 3 and 4 for Operator. Then Potts and Black Sharks. So 6 of total drivers on the soft compound soft compound tire, while everybody else opted for a set of mediums. On the medium tire, you could try medium hard, but that'll be really difficult. With 29 laps around the circuit, it could certainly be or mean a two-stop with a medium hard, or medium hard medium could well be a thing. Obviously, all depends on whether we get the safety cars or whatnot around the circuit. Meanwhile, we're only 3 laps in, and the Red Bull of Luco is right behind their teammate, and Oni's going to be in that pressure with only 4 tenths separating the two teammates, and for that position, for that second position up for grabs for the Red Bull driver. They're going to try and grab it all if they can. Meanwhile, there's no rear DRS for the Red Bull in front, and he's catching. He'll go around the outside. Oni will go defensive on the inside line. Luco might go for the switch back around the outside, and he won't be able to do that. But now that DRS will be available once more, he might switch up to the inside line. He's going to go defensive, and he's going to make that move around the outside. That's quite an unusual place to make that move. I don't think I've ever seen somebody make a move around the outside there. Around of turn 4, that is. And that is a brilliant move from Luco, but these two drivers pretty much going to be switching off and on and off each other. Meanwhile, Clayton is in P4 so far. While looking at other drivers, it is Steven who's 9 tenths behind Crazy as well, while Black Sharks nearly lost the car on that soft compound tire, and he's already been caught by Orimas. So the soft tires, sure, they're on it, while Potts is behind these guys, but maybe, and certainly without a maybe, you could say that the McLaren on the soft tires is certainly struggling as they're getting caught up by the Mercedes behind. While Orimas 2 tenths of a second to Black Sharks in P8 so far. You know, 2 tenths separating the two teammates once more. It's going to be Oni. It is going to be Luco. Who is it going to be that's going to take the position once more? It was Oni who actually did defend into turn 1, but couldn't do it into turn 4. Can Luco do that? Will Luco be strong enough to have that ERS and battery to save himself from his teammate? No, he won't. While Oni's going to go for on the inside line, and he will get the move done. The move is done and dusted, but with that, that might give the DRS to Luco there. I'm not sure whether he will have DRS or Oni's going to have that. Luco will have that DRS, and that'll do just enough, if not more, just enough to help him stay ahead of Glenn, because otherwise it could have been really difficult for him to stay ahead of Glenn. I mean, well, E1 is into the pit, and they've got themselves a set of hards and also a 10-second time penalty while speeding into the pit lane. Well, there's a yellow flag at the very back of it, and Sean's retired. Sean has retired, and that's going to cause a safety car. That is going to cause a safety car, and E1, he's going to exit right behind the safety car, and that could possibly either will be the best timing or it'll be the best of worst timing of it all, since everybody ahead of him will pit, and pretty much by the time he's there, and safety car's behind him. So he's nearly going to have to keep his delta positive, which is going to be really difficult to do while trying to catch up to everybody. It could be pretty bad. I mean, well, maybe it's not going to be the time for the medium tires to pit, but the soft tire runners are going to be thankful for the timing of the safety car. Well, Sean is now out of this race in our first retirement. What are we going to see our leader do? Although it might seem a little bit early, but I expect everybody to come in. Well, the Ferraris, Elmo is going to be into the pit. Same goes for the Red Bulls. Both of them are going to do double stacking, but look at that. Luca slightly slowed down a little to possibly create a gap, which would have been really difficult, but still just slightly doing enough to create a gap. Meanwhile, the Ferraris are going to have no problem in double stacking. There's a long way. While Clan has got the jump up, or has he though, because drivers behind are going to get the jump. Meanwhile, in the 10th place is Crazy in that Sauber. He might try and get out ahead of the McLaren, and he will get out ahead of the Haas as well. And what a jump in the pits that is. A jump that drivers wish for. Meanwhile, Oni's in P4, the Red Bull. Where did his teammate go? That is Luco. He's lost out many positions because of double stacking. That would have simply been the case. You know, no matter what, it surely would have been the case right there. While it's all about it. But Glenn in P4, Steven in P5, getting off those medium tires. Meanwhile, Luco on the hards. Same goes for Black Sharks on the hard tires. Orimas has went for another set of mediums, so certainly he's going to elect to do at least 10 laps or a minimum of 10 to 12 laps on these hard medium tires, and then go on to a set of hard tires to go to the end. Then it's Potts on the hards in P9, Watson in P10, followed by Borp in P11, just outside the points, along with Jamie and Cardiff in P12 and 13. Well, we saw drivers start the race on the hard soft tyres. There's still drivers who are opting for the soft tyres under the safety car. That is Standard Operator and Vissel. So that is interesting to see. I mean, wouldn't have expected somebody to get, but still, I mean, daytime, one thing's going to be certain, though, especially, you know, it's slightly weird watching the cars around daytime under the sun here in Bahrain, but tire temperatures do play a big thing. I'm not sure how much that's going to really play around here in terms of the game physics, but especially if you're on a track under the lights, the soft tire might be the best. But if you're under the sun, those temperatures are going to be way too much. Even the medium tire sometimes doesn't really work the best. So soft tire, that could be an issue. Sure, under the safety car, it's probably going to be the best tire to get the restart, and probably, you know, get a very good restart. But certainly it's not going to be one of the best after a couple of laps. And you know, that's why we see after only 3 or 4 laps, the soft tire runners were struggling already, because as soon as you go past 80 degrees or 90 degrees on 90 degrees Celsius on that soft compound tire, it really is almost burning. And one, it gives you tire wear, and two, there is no grip at all. It's just graining, and then it's just absolutely super difficult. It's really difficult, and it makes it 10 times harder to drive if those tire temperatures are not the best. So that's why actually in a lot of hotter conditions, the hard tire has been the best tire on this game, especially because even if your tires are over, like, let's say 100 degrees, even 110, this tire can run over 105, 110 degrees without a thing to worry. And in fact, it doesn't even perform the best when it's in about 80 degrees or under 80 degrees. It's really as cold as it gets. So you need at least minimum of 90, 95 degrees on the hard tire to make it perform the best. While everybody has caught up to the safety car, so we possibly should be getting it in this lap at the end of it. So a lap 8 safety car restart should be on our way, and as soon as that is on, we'll pick it up. The safety car is in, and we're ready for the restart. The Ferrari of Elmo has already went for it. Same goes for Oni, and Crazy might have caught lost, or maybe not, because by the looks of it, Oni could be on the gain on Elmo, and the Ferrari driver would be in trouble because of that hard compound tire. Around the outside goes Oni. Elmo's going to have the inside line. The Red Bull driver just gives him enough space, and on the inside line, he gets through and gets the overtake done and takes the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. You have a brand new leader of this race, ladies and gentlemen, up on lap 8 out of 29, and the lead goes to the Red Bull driver. Meanwhile, one Red Bull in the lead, the other has lost out another place. Starting on the hard tire, and pretty much it would have been the same case, and I think that would have exactly been the same case for everybody, I'd say. It would have all been the game of tire temperatures, would have been a game of who's got more grip, who's got more temperature in those tires to give themselves the grip. Oni's pulled away in free air. He's definitely going to be faster. Even if he's faster for a couple of laps, let's say 8 to 9 laps from here, you shouldn't be surprised. He's got the tire advantage on Elmo, which at least on other games and from a couple of years ago, that tire advantage, the tire difference is about 5 to 6 tenths. I don't exactly know. Like, it would definitely be similar from 5 to 6 tenths each tire, but I haven't basically done my, I haven't got the exact data. That's why I can't really claim it. But eventually, it's going to be somewhere like that. Meanwhile, DRS now will be enabled, and the Ferrari will not have it this time, but into turn 4, and the second DRS zone will be on their way, which can make it really difficult right here. Turn 1, turn 2, and the exit of turn 3. It is all to play for while Black Sharks gets past the Red Bull of Luco. While Luca's going to hang it around the outside, there might be an opportunity for him to get past, and he's just going to stay there. He's going to slightly have a lock up, and that's going to allow the McLaren to get past, and the McLaren driver's going to be through on the inside. They're nearly going to make contact, and the McLaren and the Red Bull, both of them are going to head towards the wall. They just nearly back out of it and avoid making contact with the wall and getting out of it. Be it any other circuit with closed walls, they would have been out of the Grand Prix, but they just save it to the Alpine. Offstended goes on the inside line now. What's an attack, and the Red Bull driver has to be the loser in all of this. He went for a move, around the outside. The McLaren just continued and smashed them on the side pod, and that might just now have given the Red Bull driver a bit of side pod damage, or even underbody damage that sometimes gets effective on it, while Elmo is a second down on Oni. Could be gaining a little bit, might just have the DRS, but will need a lot of boost for him to get past. While we're going to head over to lap 10 out of 29. We're 9 laps in, 20 more of them are still remaining, 20 more of them are still are there to be done. And as it stands, Elmo on a Clen in P3 got a brilliant jump, but now he's going to be in pressure from the Sauber of Crazy in P5. Watson has gotten past the Mercedes of Orimas, or in fact, no, he's behind the Mercedes of Orimas, but ahead of the Aston Martin Ports. Elmo is simply going to stay behind him, which, let's say the medium tire, depending on how much it's going to last on this race, but it's going to be faster for maximum 7 laps from here, or not from here, for 3 more laps. That's 3 or 4 more laps. By lap 15 or lap 16, the hard tire will pretty much will pretty much again start to get better. Again, will start to get faster, and they'll be on their way to get past. Obviously, they've definitely got the pace advantage over others as well. That could be seen because Clen is now over 2.9 seconds down on Elmo, while Crazy is 5 tenths behind them. Steven is 4 tenths, with Orimas with 7 tenths. From P3 to P6, all within a second of each other, and it could all come down to positions getting switched, to drivers making moves, and all showing what they can or cannot exactly do. Cardiff down in P9 in that Ferrari, just behind the Aston Martin Port, and Watson in that Sauber. Meanwhile, the Ferrari of Elmo is going to go for it around the outside into turn 1. The Red Bull driver is going to have the inside line. They're going to be later on the brakes, and Oni will get a better exit out of turn 1 and 2, and he will have the position and DRS as well. Absolutely brilliantly played from the Red Bull driver there. They slightly had to fight the Ferrari of Elmo and tried to stay ahead of him, just slightly let them go. They got the DRS at the detection point they were behind, and that's going to allow them to get the DRS. And they've certainly overtaken the Ferrari. Definitely they're on different strategies. That's all going to count. You know, when everybody's done their second stop and we're almost at the end of it. But it could be interesting to see. I mean, Lorimas is going to be in trouble from Steven. 5 laps on those medium tires could be getting worse and worse now. But I don't think it's really 5 laps is really enough to wear the medium tire out. Also, it depends on your driving style as well, considering on how good or you're managing that tire. Ports is going to send it on the inside line of Watson, and then surely going to make contact, and they will make contact. But the Aston Martin slightly might have front wing damage, and no, they're going to come out of it unscathed. They're going to come out of it, no damage. That is brilliant. There might be slight bit of damage, but nothing big, nothing that's going to affect them a lot. Meanwhile, the Red Bull of Oni is going to go defensive. He's going to move to break his toe, and before even he could do that, Elmo in the Ferrari is going to get past the Red Bull and takes back the lead of the race as the Red Bull nearly goes into the back of him, but certainly has to avoid that. And the Ferrari of Elmo is finally past Oni, and in that free air, the Ferrari driver is going to be on their own and be looking to do what they can. Well, Oni hasn't lost out drastically though, so don't be surprised if he simply catches him up back again. So that'll be a lot of fun if he does catch him back again. A bit of fight will be happening between these two. Well, Crazy and Arimas in P4 and 5. Meanwhile, Cardiff in P8, 1.1 seconds behind another car. Potts 6 tenths behind him, while Borp is in P10 so far. The final point scoring position, while Sharks on 6-lap old mediums is behind, and Luco after that contact is in P12 as well. So maybe a bit of damage on the Red Bull. Well, in terms of penalties are concerned, 3 seconds to Jamie and Borp each, with 13 seconds to E1. He got a 10-second penalty for the pit lane entry. And are we going to be watching an overtake? Yes, he will be watching an overtake. We nearly watched it, but it couldn't happen on the inside. He had the Mercedes, but he braked quite early than the Red Bull driver, and he certainly had to back out of it. Meanwhile, as far as overtakes are concerned, we might be on our way though, because Black Sharks is within 6 tenths of Borp there. Will he be able to get past him? We'll have to find out. Borp is running a special Williams livery, which is the one on your screen that was awarded by the game. While Sharks in that Mercedes, and that McLaren's going to be going for it on the inside line. Meanwhile, the Aston Martin is going to try and get past the Ferrari as well. He might try and get past the Ferrari. Eventually, he won't be able to do that. Well, Borp loses that position now. Luco is going to be right behind him by the Williams. With the help of that DRS, he's going to rapidly get past the McLaren. They nearly made contact, but the Williams is going to run wide, and that'll allow the McLaren to get past him quite easily. And the Williams driver, the only Williams driver running the points, is now out of it, while Luco in P12 as well, with Jamie in P13. With E1 in P14, Whistle in P15, and the soft tire still on it. Standard has got off it just now in P16, while for Frosty in P17. These are your running cars inside during the at the top of the table, while there's going to be 2 overtakes. Cardiff gets past Potts, and Luco gets past Borp in the Williams. 7 laps on the hard, just not enough to stay ahead so far. And Potts now within 4 tenths of the Ferrari, could have another chance. We might well be watching an overtake be done, and we are going to be watching the overtake get done. It'll be Orimas on the medium compound tire, gets past the Sabra Crazy. Who's going to have the DRS? Will he have the DRS, though? Is it going to be the Sauber? Will it be the Mercedes? Have that rear wing open? It'll be the Mercedes, and that's even going to play in the advantage of Orimas even better. Although the medium tires should be now starting to lose grip as soon as they're past lap 10. Or, I think it's about now, you know, they're definitely going to make sure they only go and make one stop from here and make it a 2-stop race and not really have a chance of a 3-stop race. You know, if they're going to go on the hard turn now, they should be, you know, hoping to go to the end of this race to at least do 15 to 16 laps on it. Before that, they need to do a couple of more laps on the medium compound tire, and I'd assume they would at least go over 10 laps on the medium tires. But also remember, at least 2 laps were under the safety car after they made the pit stop. So technically, if they didn't really wear their tires out under the safety car, it would be meaning a lot, because definitely one thing is tire life, tire laps, but certainly the biggest of them all is indeed the tire wearage, how you manage. Because let's say somebody who's done 8 laps on the medium tires and the other has done 4 laps, it is definitely possible that the one on with 4 laps on his tires could have worse tires than the driver who's got 8 laps on his tires. It certainly always doesn't mean it's true. It isn't really the case in all sorts of it, but still it could be possible, and it most of the time is indeed a case if you do not take care of your tires quite nicely, or simply quite the way you're supposed to do that and the way you should be doing that. So it's all sorts of it. While we look for drivers closer to each other, while we look for overtakes at the top, it's not to be the case. While at the bottom of the field and the final point scoring positions are going to be up for grabs right here. It is Luco in P10, 5 tenths behind the Aston Martin in P9. He's 4 tenths behind Cardiff in the Ferrari, who's just over a second behind the Sauber of Watson. And Sauber, also, we were talking about Haas getting points. Sauber's doing a brilliant job as well, the 2 teammates. They've got 12 points overall, which was Watson scoring them. But Crazy in that Sauber, currently in P5, is doing surely an excellent job in there. 2.3 seconds ahead of the McLaren of Jones. So he's certainly doing that well. Well, now 15 laps in, we're into lap 16. We're halfway past the halfway mark past this race. Well, DRS open on the Red Bull, DRS open on the Aston Martin. I don't think it'll be close enough action for the drivers to really get past one another, but it was eventually a little bit closer. Meanwhile, Luco gets a 3-second time penalty while we were watching him try and get past, but it's going to be the Aston Martin is going to try and get past Cardiff in the Ferrari that nearly made contact. Cardiff really beats him as much as he could, and he's now going to be around the outside. He's going to go around, force him the long way around, and the Ferrari just manages to stay ahead and keep himself ahead of him, while the Red Bull's now going to be on the inside of the Aston Martin driver and give him all the pressure. Well, brilliantly done from Potts. He's providing all the space that's needed for them to go wheel to wheel and side by side, and excellent done by both of them. The DRS now will be open in the Aston Martin and the Red Bull. The Ferrari driver could be in a little bit of a trouble once again. I don't think this is a place we see many overtakes, but slightly the place coming up ahead, and the move could be on the way. Well, Jamie will get past the Williams of Bohr. 10 laps on those hard tires, and those are certainly not enough just yet right there. While it is Glenn who's into the pits while there's drivers making overtakes, it's going to be Potts. He gets the overtake done, and indeed it'll be Potts who gets the overtake done on the Red Bull. There's Glenn and then Cardiff into the pits, and remember, these drivers have only went 10 laps on the hard tires. Sure, which is interesting. I think, you know, now is the time, kind of, if you want to go for another set of hards. And possibly go to the end of this race. He's nearly going to make contact. Glenn comes out of the pits in P11, ahead of Bob and behind Jamie, but he could get past Jamie with the help of that DRS very soon. It's about, can he do that or can he not? And especially those medium tire runners, certainly they've done a decent job. But let's say, you know, the hard tire runners, Elmo, who could go possibly a couple of more laps on these hard tires. That's at least 13 or 12 laps on the tires. And his time would be enough to do over 10 laps on those mediums, and he could go to the end of this race on the mediums. But in the case of Oni and Orimas, they'd need to end this race on a set of hards, which would be, I'd assume, quite positive from everybody else, unless all those on the hard tires also choose for a set of hards. But Orimas will need to choose a set of mediums. Sorry, a set of hard tires, because they started on a set of mediums and they're going to go into the pits now, and they pitted for another medium, so they definitely need to use 2 different tire compounds for each, you know, 2 different tire compounds during a clean race, during a dry race. While Orimas and Oni in the pits. It is now around the outside. Glenn's going to go for the outside of Jamie, and we'll get the move done. Jamie should see the pits in a couple of moments as well, and yes, he does get into the pits right there, while Potts is in P6 right there, while it's E1 in P11, while Bob in P12. E1 is going to get past Cardiff, will be in P13. It's all about on it, which could well be the case. And we're now 18 laps into this race. Our race leader is not yet pitted, and the driver has made a pit stop. Is Oni all the way down in P8, while Glenn is in P9 as well. Well, Orimas has lost out to Glenn, and he's been undercut by Glenn, but Glenn might have had a lock up in the turn 10 that could allow the Mercedes to get closer, but he's not close enough at all. While Oni in that McLaren is now right behind Black Sharks. Oni in the Red Bull is behind the McLaren of Sharks, and he could certainly making his way and an overtake on his time, while the Ferrari off Elmo into the pits should be heading for another driver, and into the pits we should come. And what are we going to be watching? Nearly half the grid into the pits now. There's going to be overtakes done, and Oni gets past the McLaren and gets the overtake done around the outside, and he's going to be ahead of him. Oni, remember, on brand new tyres. Potts needs to pit, and everybody in the top needs to pit apart from Elmer, who has pitted and came out of it in the lead as well. So apart from Oni taking the lead for a couple of laps earlier after the safety car, while Elmer didn't have a very good safety car restart, it possibly could have been a chance of a Grand Slam for Elmer to take, but it won't be the case right now, as certainly he's gonna have to still keep the lead. He surely has the lead. I think still it doesn't matter if he gets the Grand Slam or not. It would still be amazing to you know, for him to be dominating almost throughout the field. He's got Oni behind him, but a couple of positions behind, with Luco and Potts still needing to pit right there. So our race leader now will head over into the end of lap 19 and into lap 20 that will go. That'll nearly be 10 laps now remaining to the end of this Grand Prix, or about lap 9 or 9 laps remaining. Well, Oni will get past. Oni's on the attack, and in fact, Oni will have to fight Potts right there, and Luco as well. Luco will have the inside line, and he's actually far away, but Oni will try and get past Potts, who's on the older tires, and older hard compound tires are going to be in trouble from Glenn in the Haas as well, and the Haas driver, with the help of that extra DRS speed, will get past the Aston Martin as well. Overtakes are being made around the field. So now you know that things are gonna surely get spicy in these remaining 9 to 10 laps of the Grand Prix, and the Glenn slightly makes a mistake, slightly locks up, but still won't be enough. While Orimas is now at the back of Potts as well, and Potts, I think, is now definitely looking for a medium tire finish. You know, Elmo has actually went for a set of hard tires, so pretty much everybody has went for a set of hard tires, apart from Ewan, who's just pitted now. Watson is pitted now as well. Jamie, along with Watson, is on the medium tires now, and eventually Potts is going to pit right now and get a set of mediums. Same goes for Luco, but it all depends on how much are they going to have enough laps though, because if they have to pit, this has to be the lap or next lap, because otherwise it'll be way too late, and it'll simply be the case of if you doesn't matter if you have the speed and pace, or because of that faster tire, you're not going to have enough laps. You're eventually going to run out of laps, 2 to 3 laps. You could be short, and that really hurts, especially when you could have been fighting for a position. While Sharks on brand new set of hard compound tires now will also get past Sharks, Potts, who's into the pits, while Sharks is still going to stay out on 15-lap-old hard tires, along with Bob, who's also staying out. Meanwhile, Glenn now gets past Oni, and they're nearly going to make contact and slightly touch. They'll be able to wheel around the outside when the Haas of Glenn, and into P3 goes. Remember, Luco needs to pit, so it's pretty much P2 that they're fighting for, and a Haas podium in round 4 with no points in the first 3 rounds would be a comeback the team would love and surely enjoy, and definitely they'll be after it. Well, now Glenn is going to be putting that pressure on Luco on older, medium, hard compound tires. It's going to be enough, though. I think everybody's now pitted in this race for the second time, apart from the 2 drivers, and it is make it 3. It's just Luco, Sharks, and Bob, the 3 drivers who have not made a pit stop in this race so far, so they're going to have to pit. They're going to need to pit in the remaining Grand Prix laps right here. Oni only 2/10 behind Glenn, so sure, one Red Bull is possibly going to get out of the way right now, and I'd assume he will be, but he does not decide to do that. In fact, he's not going to do that, which is surprising to see, unless he wants to go to the end of this race on those hard tires, which I doubt will be the case, and would be quite difficult. While now Luco has just managed to stay ahead of Glenn in the Haas. So has Glenn managed to stay ahead of Oni. The DRS now will be available, and I think this will be the time. This will be the chance for Haas to go on the inside. No, he certainly doesn't quite go for that. And I could say, meanwhile, Sharks has now retired out of the Grand Prix. Not quite sure what went wrong. Maybe a bit of a contact with one of the drivers, and now they've decided to make a pit stop. They've decided reason, and they have decided to make a pit stop right now and come into the pits, announce themselves as retired from this race, because not sure why, but either they've got somewhat damage or maybe something went wrong. But look at that then. Now this could be interesting, and there's a yellow flag. I wonder if that's the Aston Martin. Oh, sorry, not the Aston, but that's the McLaren of Sharks. It's going to park it on the outside of turn 2 of the runoff area there. Meanwhile, at the top of the times, it is Oni, who's on 4-lap older tires. Meanwhile, Luco, despite being on 17-lap old hard compound tires, it's going to be lap 17 on those tires at the end of this lap, had enough grip to hold himself ahead of Oni and Glenn for a long time and a long while in there. Meanwhile, lap 23 out of 29 it is for our race leader as it stands. Meanwhile, with penalties, a lot of drivers have got penalties now. That could be interesting, because Glenn's got a penalty, Oni's got a penalty, Orimas is within 6/10 of these guys. Hasn't got a penalty, Steven's got 10 seconds, so that could certainly come into play, and if these guys have the penalties applied, Orimas could get a podium to his name if he manages to be within 3 seconds of these guys. Okay, then now look at this. We've nearly got past a whole lap without much of an action happening out on the track. But look at that, we should be back with it, and we might be on our way to find our CA overtake right here. Glenn and Oni, remember, need to finish ahead, 3 seconds ahead of at least pretty much for them. It'll be equal. Whoever finishes on track ahead of one another will get that position. And unless they pull away over 6 seconds, and as it stands for others, or it's going to be Orimas as if he manages to be within 3 seconds. You know, would it be if he manages to just be within 3 seconds of these guys, he's surely going to be taking that place. And now that's not going to be the case, as Orimas has now got a 3-second time penalty as well. That would have been the worst thing he could have wished for, and he certainly will not be getting that position anymore unless he snatches it off these guys on the circuit. Otherwise, just staying behind them will not work at all. Now, Crazy is 1.4 seconds behind Jones, but Jones is over 5.2 seconds behind these guys. So that certainly could open doors for Sauber to get caught up. But I think Watson's far behind, over 8.1 seconds to his teammate. And then Grace is also 1.4, but there's nearly 6 seconds behind these guys. So it's not really going to be working like that. But it's a huge one to say the least. You know, ending laps. A lot could depend on this. Where are we going to get, what we're going to get in these remaining laps. So now looking at this, Elmo leads ahead of Glenn in P2, Omi in P3, Orimas in P4. The 3-second penalty. Same goes for Steven, who's in P5. He's got 13 seconds of a penalty. So his penalty, he didn't serve his penalty when he went to the pits. Not quite sure why. Crazy in P6, along with Watson in P7, with Cardiff in P8, and he's on his way to get overtaken by the Red Bull of Luca. Will he be overtaken though? Yes, he will, and definitely that explains why. 8-lap-old hard tyres versus 2-lap-old mediums. Any day that 2-laps mediums were going to be better than the hards. And then it's Potts, the final driver in the points. 2.8 seconds behind the car in front, over 15 seconds a car ahead of the car behind. So he's doing a decent job right there. Well, Jamie in P11, Bob in P12, it's Operator in P13. And these guys are pretty much in a race of their own, with Jamie, Bob, Standard, E1 in P14, Frosty, and then Vissel as well. We've lost 2 drivers so far. Sean, he caused the safety car at the very start of this race. I believe it was lap 29, or not lap 29, sorry, lap 5 or lap 6 it was at the very beginning of the Grand Prix. And then Sharks, who decided to retire in the pits. So that certainly did not cause anything. That certainly did not do anything. Meanwhile, Glenn, despite a 3-second time penalty, stands tall in P2, just behind Elmo, who's over 11.9 seconds behind these guys. But the ones behind him don't seem to be catching up to him, at least so far. Meanwhile, Orimas might have an opportunity here. Ronnie goes defensive on the inside line into turn 1. They nearly make contact, but just about they're going to avoid it. And has Glenn braked a little bit early? Has Glenn had a lock-up right there, because that could be affecting all of this. Meanwhile, Orimas will use all his force to get past the Red Bull, and he can't quite get past the Red Bull just right there, but still all is going to play. Still all could play. 2/10 separating the Mercedes and the Red Bull. It's all about what we're going to get, what we are about to get right here. It is going to be interesting from here, all about what we're going to do, what we are about to do right there. Meanwhile, lap 26 out of 29. Our leader is getting to the end of this Grand Prix, lap after lap, but it is all what we're going to be getting right there. Alright then, I hope there was no loss of audio there. For a second I would have possibly thought there's a little bit of it, but I hope the headset was going to be back to its thing and what does and to do what it was supposed to do. Well, we're going to go in the midfield and the very back of it in P8 with Luco, 4/10s, 3/10s pretty much of Watson doing the job. and getting it done right there. While a lot is remaining, while a lot is counting to play for. Right there. Meanwhile, Luca will get past Watson, and certainly does get past Watson. We're looking to get some action. Meanwhile, Watson might try and get past the Red Bull out there. Will he be able to get past him, though? Because the DRS will be open on the Sauber. Is he going to be close enough? No, he won't be. Certainly isn't going to be able to do that just right now. Glenn over 8 tenths ahead of the cars, two drivers behind him, Oni and Orimas. 8 tenths behind Glenn, while Orimas is 6 tenths behind Oni. It could be interesting. It could be a thing of what we're about to get and what we certainly will be getting, but it could be playing in anybody's game. And remember, these guys have all got a 3-second time penalty, and they've got Steven behind him who's got over 13 seconds. So a possible I'd say a P5 to Crazy. Pretty much the top two, P2, 3, and 4 are pretty much going to stay where they are, in my opinion, because that's what I think, at least, because, you know, it's going to be about what we're going to be getting and what we are about to get in these remaining laps. Sure, we've seen overtakes, we see drivers closer to each other, but maybe we're going to see an overtake coming up at the very late of the Grand Prix, and we might be about to see that as a lock-up from Glenn and Orimas arriving behind Oni, arriving at the rapid speeds, but the DRS, the Red Bull, is certainly going to help him. But he's moved away, lost that though. He's lost out and almost a second behind Haas now. A Haas driver on the podium after no points scored by the team throughout the first 3 rounds. You know, Cardiff is going to get past Potts at the very late moments, or really though, because Potts is going to come back at him and get the overtake done and on it. Right there so far. Meanwhile, Cardiff and Potts fighting for P9 right there. P9 and 10 up for grabs. Potts has just managed to grab P9. Being a fuel up on a fuel up newer medium compound tyres. And they'll be on it. They will have the chance of it. So we're about to find out what we're going to get. Where are we going to get the overtakes? Where are we going to get the action in the final lap of this race right there? Meanwhile, our race leader has entered the final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Everyone else is going to pretty much follow. So looking at penalties as it stands, 3 seconds to Glenn, Oni, Orimas, Ghost has now got a Crazy Ghost has now got a penalty as well. Luco, 3 seconds as well. Jamie, E1, and Standard Operator, all with 3 seconds time penalties. Only 2 who have not. We've got 3 seconds, or we've got 6 seconds or more. Borp has got 6 seconds and 13 seconds to Steven. So Grid is going to jump out. Grid is going to be left and right, or maybe up and down of how the results are going to be affected. Certainly because of these penalties. But what we're looking at, Steven's over 6 seconds behind these guys, and Crazy is a second behind them, and he's got a penalty as well. So certainly it would all take effect probably from Watson and those behind, and Cardiff's lost the car. Cardiff has lost the car. That should be enough still for him to be at the top, and you'd say really it'll be P10, at least ahead of Jamie, and get that 1 point. But that's all they're going to get. Meanwhile, their teammate, it is going to be Elmo, the man who was dominant in qualifying. It wins the race by 15 seconds with a dominant performance. Elmo wins the Bahrain Grand Prix and takes victory. Glenn is going to be the next driver in the Haas. We've been saying out all race long. There no Haas finish inside the points ever since the start of the season. He's going to come home to take second place and a podium for the Haas team. And P3 for Oni in the Red Bull. P4 Orimas with a penalty to his name. Steven with penalty served. Crazy is going to jump to P5. Steven in P4. P6 with another driver coming over the line. Luco gets P6. Steven jumps down once more. And what about Watson now? Does he get effective? No, he doesn't. Watson ends in P8. While Pot is going to be into P9. Gets the overtake done. It is. And Cardiff takes the checkered flag as well. Well, the remaining drivers, it is Jamie, Bob, E1, and Operator. All these remaining drivers who are yet to take the checkered flag. Well, the points are not remaining, or no points are remaining to it. Discord, I'm not sure. I think it is Late Breakers Club. You could possibly find it in most of the F1 25 groups on Facebook. So I'm sure there are a lot of posts about the league. So you could easily join that. Or you could message me on Instagram. That is Zabe. You could be seeing that on screen as well. In front of you could do that, Zabi_on_Mike3, and I will let you in. I could let you into the league. But now let's look at it then, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this as we've got to the end of the Grand Prix. This was some brilliant action and fantastic racing. We've got to the end of it. We should be seeing the ending picture of it, and as soon as that picture is on, we will be getting the moves. And look at that, the podium celebrations from Elmo, who won in Miami, is going to win in Bahrain with the cleanest driver, race winner, and fastest lap to them. And they could nearly have a Grand Slam, but they couldn't get that. Meanwhile, now look at this with these race results. Elmo wins in P1 after starting P1. Glenn in P2 had a fantastic race. Same goes for Oni Orimas in P4 with Crazy in P5. Luco in P6. Then it is Stephen, Watson, Potts, Cardiff in the top 10, while Jamie, Bob, E1, Standard, and Frosty along with Vissel in P16. Sharks and Sean were the two drivers who we lost out, and we lost them out of this race. 18 starting, 16 finishing. Certainly, I'll call it a very good, successful finishing rate. That's pretty much going to be the end of it then, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be the end of it from Bahrain, and from everybody ahead, from Late Breakers and from myself, Zabe. We're going to be getting to the end of it. And also a happy Eid Mubarak for those celebrating, as we've got Eid tomorrow morning, while we're at it right now. It was Eid today in most part of the world. It's going to be tomorrow in some parts. But that's going to be the end of it then, ladies and gentlemen. From all of us here at Late Breakers Club, it's a goodbye. Adios. See you next week.